Hello there and welcome. This is Eye on Port, bringing the port's activities closer to you and you closer to the ports of Ghana. Folks, it's brought to you by the Star Assurance. That's the best insurance company when it comes to the marine sector. Also, UT Logistics, the best logistics company in this country. The Royal Bank, providing the best marine financing in this country. And also Ghana Community Network Services, GCNet. This week we're talking about the rail sector. What's happening at all to our rail lines? The trains, where are they? Apart from the passenger train, it's actually just about one or two in the system that we see in the country. Where are the trains? What's happening to the rail lines? A lot of people are talking, including the Retired Staff Association of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Also, retirees of the Ghana Railway Company themselves are lamenting that it's about time we all give attention to the rail sector of this country if we want to see the port business grow. Some retired senior staff of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority are appealing to both public and private agencies with interest in international trade to come to the aid of the rail sector and revamp it to enhance efficiency and increase trade in Ghana and the sub-region. According to them, an alternative rail transport to road will boost international trade and make the ports of Ghana more vibrant.
Acheampong tried it. He made rail line to Tor, and they were carrying fuel by rail. It was cheap. One engine would take about 32 vans, and the 32 is about 32 articulators.
The retired port workers explained that the introduction of articulated tracks in 1960 necessitated a competition between the rail and the road, hence declining the number of goods by rail. They say this was because government spent hugely on road renovation to the detriment of the rail, and this move collapsed the rail sector.
This railway is the best way for Ghana. If we get them now, we'll save us. Because you have this so many articulators, some pack somewhere. When the cargoes arrive, they come straight to the port, to the wharf. So from the shed, straight onto the trailer. So when it moves, it was on time.
Meanwhile, the management and board members of the Ghana Railway Company have honored some senior staff of the company who are going on retirement.
We've worked through difficult times, and for us to still hold our head above the waters, I think it's an accomplishment, and we owe a lot of that to our unions and their leadership.
The retiree staff of the railway company sees the opportunity to appeal to management of the company, government and stakeholders to rescue the rail sector in Ghana from total collapse.
Let's see to the sustenance of the work itself, Ghana Railway Company Limited. Because without the existence of Ghana Railway Company Limited, we will not see what we are seeing maybe tomorrow.
For us, once railwaymen, we are always railwaymen. When we pass any railway station or any office or workshop and we look at what is happening now, the fear is that we have left behind something which is soon to be forgotten.
The retirees only prayed that the railway sector could be revamped to boost trade in Ghana and sustain future generation. Well, so we heard from the retired port workers as well as the retired Railway Company Limited workers. So what is the management of the Ghana Railway Company Limited saying about all of these things? What are they actually sitting there doing whilst we all see the rail lines getting dilapidated and getting rotten? What's happening? Eye on Port got the opportunity to sit with the managing director of the Ghana Railway Company Limited as well as the board chairman of that same company. What are we doing? Have we abandoned the rail system? Doc, maybe I start off with you.
For a long time, the successive governments have not had the infusion of capital into the system, and the system has, over the years, run down, dilapidated. And it takes a lot of rail development, takes a lot of money, capital, investment.
Why did you wait for it to deteriorate to the point where you did so much capital injection before you can get it back?
You see, in hindsight, it's a good question to ask, why did the company sit down throughout these years when the degeneration was ongoing? it's not a question of one regime not acting appropriately, but over the years it's becoming more expensive, right, to provide the needed capital that will revamp. The whole system is old and equipments are run down, and we need new technology to revamp the system. It's like rebuilding a whole system.
If you want to have efficient movement of cargo from one place to the other, everybody knows, and as it's happening everywhere else, properly it will be done with rail. And for us to have sat down to get to this point, what really went wrong?
What really went wrong, we may have to trace the history back to the 60s. You know, before that era, all the goods, most of the goods were coming by rail, and it interfaced with the ports. Maybe that was why the two were together. Then, if you remember, in the 60s, that is where the articulators were introduced into the system. So all of a sudden, there was competition between the rail and then the road. And then, whatever goods was there at that time, we then had to share. So that was when the decline proper started. Find the money.
I listened to the Deputy Minister of Transport the last time, who said that the rail sector is not attracting the necessary investment from the banks. She thinks that the banks are not getting interested in the rail sector. What do you think the reason is?
Well, you know, first of all, we need huge capital to do the lines, and it might take a long time if you invest that way to recoup your resources.
You don't think we can have partnership to get this done? Because others are doing it.
One suggestion, which is now being considered, is the segmented approach. Which is the segmented approach is that then you can put together people who are companies who are likely to gain from that stretch, and then you let them pool resources together and let them develop the line, in segments. For instance, if we take manganese, we haul manganese from Suta to Takoradi. Who are the beneficiaries? Ghana Manganese Company Limited, and then Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. So you know that because the more manganese you bring, the ports also will be able to earn more in terms of revenue. Whatever. So assuming these two companies pool resources together. Now, by the fact that it's going to be a segmented approach, you realize that finally other groups will also benefit.
In the past, the railway company has had discussions with potential investors who had come in and shown interest that they wanted to participate in that initiative.
And what happened?
But just like you said, the banks are dragging their feet. They also come in
because
we
haven't been able to convince them.
Yes, but it's because, you see, when they look at the setup, Ghana Railways is not entirely a private company.
It's public, but other public institutions are equally partnering with private institutions, sometimes even without sovereign guarantee, and still getting investments done.
Yes, but you see, with the railways, I don't know the other, but it takes a long time to recoup your investment in railways.
The rail from Abidjan to Burkina Faso, for instance, it was done on that private public agreement basis. Can we be looking beyond the banks? If the banks are not interested, should the financial institutions be the only ones we rely on?
That is the segmented approach issue that I brought in. If the banks are not ready to help, if maybe the private sector is not very willing to come.
All our assets have been deemed transferred to the GRDA. So when you go to the bank, they look at GRCL, you don't have any asset even to use as collateral.
So what is holding also the GRDA back from pushing for some of these infrastructure for you? Because they have the assets now. Exactly, and they are responsible for infrastructure development. All the issues we are discussing, revamping the sector, So
They
it's
are not-
GRDA that is sleeping.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I know it's difficult for you
No,
to
but he
admit
has
that,
already
but it's
said
obvious.
they are going slow, but carefully. They have a master plan.
We have to move faster.
You
The
see.
port is expanding in just 2 years. I can tell you, the current port is going to be about almost twice or 3 times the size.
Okay.
So we can't say people are moving, but
Slow,
slowly.
okay.
There's no room.
Yeah.
You don't think?
GRDA has a lot to say about the revitalization of the rail sector. Our mandate now is to operate, right?
But you
And not
can't
that-
operate when there is no infrastructure for
Exactly.
you to do. So virtually
Exactly.
you're
So-
saying that until GRDA set up and start working, you would also be sleeping.
Yeah, but we are not sleeping. We are we.
MD is not happy about that, but honestly, that's the fact. You
For
don't
instance,
agree?
today we had a special commemoration event here.
Yes, we noticed that you are commemorating and honoring some of the retired workers, and I looked in the faces of some of them, they expressing worry that they are not sure of the future of the rail sector. Tomorrow when they look back, what are they going to see of where they have worked for the past 40, 50 years? Isn't that worrying to all of us?
Yes, it is.
Very, very worried.
Yes, because the assets, everything is completely run down.
That's
and
terrible.
Then, yes, and then now the development aspect of the rail is in the hands of Ghana Railway Development Authority. For now, the major stakeholders like ports, like manganese, like bauxite, can pull resources together and help. So if that comes into reality, then the dismay, the anxiety, the fears which will not come to pass.
But until people start acting and acting very, very fast, these fears are far approaching us.
Well, I completely agree with you. But since we are operating, at least for now, we have ensured that we need to survive. So we've tried as much as possible to keep the operational area, that is between Takoradi and Nsuta, where currently we are operating, at least we've been able to maintain the line somehow.
What's the future of Ghana's rail?
I want to tell Ghanaians that in spite of what is going on currently, when they look around at Ghana Railways, I want to assure Ghanaians that the rail sector is very promising.
How? When people are sleeping?
Yes, for now, when you look at the challenges confronting Ghana Railways, by now you arrive at that conclusion. But when you look at the future,
Which is when? When is the future?
okay, by that what I mean is that Ghana Railways by itself now has a plan that can, even without government involvement, sustain itself.
So what is happening?
But because we are part of a government system, we are, we
Is government blocking the growth and progress of the
no,
sector?
government, the rail is not just for economics, it's to also serve the public, right?
It doesn't mean government should block the growth of it.
No, they are not blocking the growth, but we don't have a leeway as a company. We don't have the leeway.
So you think when the leeway is opened up for the sector, it should be able to grow?
Yes, and we want to rationalize our human resource, for instance. We are still saddled with all the people we had from the past. We have a staff population which is about 3 times more than we need, and we're paying them. So how can we, and this is not an issue we can take as a company to lay people off, right? And no bank will look at you, give you money to go and do things when they know that you have inefficiencies embedded in your system. Now, looking towards the way forward is promising. It's promising in the fact that all the people, our people in government now, the current government, the leadership, they are all seeing the significance of railways in the economic rapid industrialization.
The others didn't see it.
No, not that they didn't see it, they saw it, but I'm saying that now
but they didn't act. And
no,
we
they
are yet to see
acted.
this one act.
Even this government has seen it, but the problem.
Have they acted?
They are acting. For instance, the 40-year development plan that they have just started. I heard the chairman of the National Development Planning Committee say 3 days ago on one of your sister stations that the railway sector is key. He said that, I think he mentioned two things. Railway development is key to the achievement of that 40-year development
Yes,
plan.
but it goes beyond just knowing that
I
it is
know,
key,
but
because we all
even
know
he is
that it
plan
is key.
when the
But
way
what is being
forward.
done?
The mere fact that an important think tank, their plan figures the railways as the pivot for our economic development plan.
It should be enough.
No, it's not. You need to put your money where your mouth is,
Yeah.
right? We believe that if others see what we have been saying all along, that the railway is not dead yet and that we cannot develop the country without investing in railways, eventually it will be done.
We are all Ghanaians. Beyond knowing that yes, we have to massage it here and there, diplomatic about it and all of that, we have to be also honest. How do we go back and assure the Ghanaian public that we are not sleeping but working to ensure that the rail sector is vibrant?
We now have a system which is completely run down. The chairman did indicate that we are now carrying a labor force which is much more than 3 times what we now using to operate the areas that are the current business. So on our own, it becomes very difficult even to pay the wages of the workers. Much more to set aside money on our own to develop. But notwithstanding, I know the government is committed towards the development of the rail, and then we all
But
hope
you
and
should
pray.
hope beyond commitment.
Yeah, that is why we are hoping and
that
pray
a lot
that
of action
that
comes
a lot
to
of
force.
action will come on very, very, very soon.
Because otherwise you would equally not be happy ending your service as MD and looking back and seeing the
The
real
nostalgia,
sector
yes.
dilapidated like that.
Yes, I know it will not happen that way. So we all hope and pray that the
Beyond
government...
hope and pray, can you assure some action?
Well, that assurance can only be given by Ghana Railway Development Authority.
Well, in the next few years to come, just about 3 years to come, we're going to see the port of Tema expand to about 3 times the size. You know what that means? A lot of cargo in this country, particularly the Tema, city of Tema, Accra, and the rest. Are we solely going to rely on road, or are we going to think of revamping the rail sector? The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority says it's about time all hands come on deck.
The rail line is a major concern to GPHA for the simple reason that we handle over 12 million metric tons of cargo annually. And it is apparent that almost 99% of that is being poured onto the roads. That is very heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sad that bauxite, manganese, cement is being discharged or handled on our roads. That is unreasonable. And as we go forward, you know, the economy of the country is growing. We're now importing large tons of cement into the country. Gassam is in competition. You know, Dankodi is coming in full. Diamond is coming in full. They're all looking for space inside the port.
And you have created a fresh jetty for
Yeah,
them.
a fresh jetty for them. People are bringing in cement in bag ready, in containers. All of this is being discharged onto the roads. So the damaging effect on the road is very, very high. I mean, the ports depend on the rail line, especially for heavy cargo. Especially for heavy cargo. You know, so we cannot have bauxite, we cannot have cement, we cannot have clinker, we cannot have even, we now have cocoa. Look at the cocoa that we export.
Yeah.
All coming by road. So you can see the damaging effect in the rural areas. You know, and it comes down to the port area, it's all by road. You know, and that is unreasonable. We are hitting 1 million containers. You know, 1 million containers. And each container is weighing at least 25 tons, 30 tons, 35 tons. So if you multiply that by 1 million, then it tells you the volume of traffic that we are discharging onto the road.
And you are expanding the port
We
almost 3
expanded
times the size. Still the same pressure on the same routes.
So we as GPHA have always looked at the rail line as a cardinal point for us. We have had to talk to our ministry, everything was done, went up to government, central government, and we are prepared to support whatever systems that can, the ministry, government, whatever it can take, because we cannot continue this way.
Well, and the president of Ghana was in India some few days ago asking for support to revamp the rail sector in this country. We can only hope and pray that some help somewhere will come. Iron Port returns pretty shortly after the break.
I've got no need to worry. I've got no room for doubt. No matter what's coming at me, you'll always be the beautiful I sing about. There ain't no limitations to your amazing grace. Your amazing grace. And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you.
Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Let go. Let's celebrate 30 years of solid partnership. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
I'll take care of you.
There's a place in my heart that makes me feel that you're the one. It's a place I wanna be, 'cause satisfaction guaranteed. From strength to strength you help me grow, 'cause you're there for me. And teach me how to be independent, 'cause you
The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank.
Banking with transparency, commitment to integrity.
Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank. The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank. Real banking, real difference.
UT Logistics have come to stay. When you approach a job like the way we approach it, each job is unique. Each client is unique. We provide the best service in the system. We have best staff. We are very fast. We are quick, and we save customers a lot of money.
The International Cargo Handling Association of the World has ended its 9th general meeting held here in Tema, Ghana, bringing together a number of people from Mauritius, Cape Verde, Spain, Abidjan, Togo, Nigeria, Benin, almost everywhere, also within the African continent and the Canaries. The principal focus of that meeting was safety in the port. That plus many other news and activities happening in and around the port next.
The International Cargo Handling Coordination Association, HCA, in collaboration with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, has held a 3-day seminar to map out strategies aimed at improving efficiency and productivity in African ports in Tema, with a call on member ports to consider automation of major port processes.
It's only when you are operating within a secured environment that you'll be able to attract investors.
The seminar, which is under the theme New Challenges in the Port Sector, was attended by representatives from the Grand Canary Africa region, including countries like Spain, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Togo, Cameroon, Britain, Ghana, amongst others, who form the HCA with expertise in the area of maritime, logistics chain, occupational health, and safety organizations. The president of HCA International said both the Tema and Takoradi ports expansion works would position the country to grasp opportunities in the world market.
The opportunities for Tema and Ghana itself to take a much more important role on the world stage is there for you to grasp. But of course, opportunities also bring challenges, and that's the theme here, new challenges for the port sector.
The Minister of Transport, Jifa Ativo, in a speech read on her behalf, expressed worry that the cost of doing business at African ports is becoming increasingly expensive, and charged the ports to modernize their operations to reduce cost of doing business.
Shippers are coming under increasing pressure to provide advanced cargo information on shipments to enable pre-clearance documentation to commence before the arrival of the vessel, to prevent payment of high rent charges and demurrage. The clearing processes are being simplified to eliminate unnecessary bureaucracies.
The director of Tema Port, Jacob Adoko, highlighted that Ghana's ports are continuously improving in its service delivery to minimize the cost of doing business.
The impact of transport costs on prices of goods and services is so critical that seaports, terminals, ship owners, and all players in all the various modes of transport are put under pressure to continuously improve their service delivery and minimize the cost of doing business.
Oil finds in the Gulf of Guinea, coupled with limited resources for sea dominance and economic hardships, have been identified as motivation for piracy. The Tema Port Security Manager, Colonel Timothy Batabana, who disclosed this during the International Cargo Handling Coordination Association (ICCA) conference in Tema, charged port authorities to invest in electronic systems and highly trained personnel.
If we can contribute to the reduction of inequalities in society, then half of the battle against insecurity, whether on the land side, which affects actively the water side, can be said to be half won. And therefore, the quest for port authorities to have forensic laboratories for their own use, train their own intelligence personnel and operatives, is no longer an option.
He said the maritime security sector is bedeviled with the inability to dominate territorial waters due to lack of craft, qualified personnel, and electronic surveillance systems.
Hence, budgets in the sub-region are normally very small. So it's not so much that the case that they are not willing to go beyond the brown waters or dominate the waters with much patrols. But at times, their budgets hardly go beyond the levels of emoluments.
The board chairman of Ghana's ports, Samuel Ofozompo, charged government of Africa to place priority on fighting sea crime by building the capacities of port authorities in the area of security and safety.
The growing incidence of piracy in the sub-region is worrying. In recent times, Ghana had its own share, and it took the vigilance and dexterity of our security personnel to nip the situation in the bud as quickly as possible. It is only when you are operating within a secured environment that you'll be able to attract investors, because the investors will then be very comfortable to do business in your environment.
I sing about there ain't no limitations to your amazing grace, your amazing grace. And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you.
Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Let go. Let's celebrate 30 years of solid partnership. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
I'll take care of you.
Banking with transparency, commitment to integrity. The Royal Bank, the Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank, real banking, real difference.
We've all heard stories about ports, about difficulties and challenges at the port. We think that to bring transparency to the port is very important for both the end consumers and even the people, some of the agents who work within the port. This program is very, very critical, and I think everybody who is involved in the port, in businesses that has impact on the port one way or the other, should make it a point to view it.
Time now for shadows of vessels that are at the anchorage, those sitting in the port and discharging, and also those expected for the week, plus the Bank of Ghana approved exchange rates. Next. Well, we'll continue to encourage you to send us your concerns and comments as you do business with the ports of Ghana, and wherever any experience you've encountered dealing with the port via the addresses that are scrolling beneath the screens there. In the meantime, some of you have sent yours to us. A letter from Aristo Limited reads, Dear Iron Port, my story is long, but hope you will read it because it is the best program for us. I was directed to an agent to clear 2 of my cars, Infiniti FX35 2006 model and Camry LE 2009 model. He had all my bill of lading. The agent charged me 950 Ghana cedis for separation and something called handling charges on the 2 cars, which I paid. The agent called to tell me to pay for another 950 Ghana cedis for the Camry separation and handling charges again. I was having financial problems, so the agent told me to pay 300 Ghana cedis to get an extension for 60 days. So I paid for the extension only to be told along the line that a Navy officer came in with an allocation letter, paid less than the duty I'm supposed to pay, and took my Infiniti FS35 away. Then the agent told me the government has seized all my cars. I asked the agent whether a detain notice, seizure notice, or a forfeited notice was sent to him because I didn't receive anything. But the agent said no and refused to give me the bill of lading till today. I later found from customs that the agent used my name to clear the Camry LE 2009 car, but was not able to give me any information on the Infiniti FX35. This case has been going on for almost 8 months. I reported to the police and they claim they are also waiting for a report from the Commissioner of Customs. My questions: do we pay for an extension letter, and how long can you apply for? Do you get a receipt, or how do we know that an extension letter has been approved? Is an allocation letter effective if your extension letter has been approved? What is the difference between A, allocating your car, B, allocation letter, C, government or custom auctioning or a car? How many days or months can your car be at the port? Does the government send the detain notice, seizure notice, forfeited notice, or any other notice at all to the agent or the importer alerting him or her on the cars or goods? And finally, for how long can a car be at the port? Well, Aristo Limited, this is very important to us. Iron Port is investigating your issue, as you may be aware, and will soon publish the outcome. I'm sure you should be hearing from the Commissioner of Customs soon. Well, this week we focused on the Ghana Railway Company Limited. Next week, we will be focusing on another company that's also wobbling, struggling to find its feet, and that's the Tema Oil Refinery. They've got a new boss now, and he promises to fix whatever is happening there at all, not just by himself, but together with his team.
It's a different tour. If we were not ready, that valve that was so rusted, you couldn't turn it open or turn it closed, would not have been able to discharge LPG. So we've noticed the must-haves, and we're working on all those points.
We will be finding out from TOR what's happening to the rusted pipes and valves they have in the ports that's also causing leakages of petroleum products in the port next week. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Iron Port. I hope I've been able to place your eyes on the port's activities and bring the port also closer to you. Thank you for watching, and thanks to my crew, Robert Nyantechi, Godwin Kabute, Isaac Bosu, Joe Lavo, also Solomon Anderson, Portia Abura, and the executive producer, Paul Asariansa. We'll see you next week.